What transpires when travelers belittle the sole individual wielding absolute authority at 30,000 feet? The journey from Los Angeles to Phoenix was meant to glide by, a brisk, 2-hour passage scarcely sufficient to settle before the next leg. Yet, within minutes of boarding, it became unmistakably clear that this voyage would defy routine. Sophia Lewis, statuesque and assured, radiated warmth with her gentle smile and impeccably braided hair as she welcomed each passenger near the entrance. Clad in a pristine uniform that spoke of seasoned mastery, she exuded an unruffled professionalism that belied any inexperience. None suspected she was far from an ordinary flight attendant. Trouble stirred almost immediately when a middle-aged couple, dressed in coordinated designer ensembles, exchanged exaggerated glances upon her arrival. The woman leaned close to her husband, whispering just audibly enough for Sophia to catch, "Guess they'll hire anyone these days." Sophia remained unfazed. Years of practiced poise had taught her to let such barbs slide. She responded with a courteous nod and gestured them toward their seats. Their attitude soon spread as, a few rows back, a man in a rumpled polo wrestled with an oversized carry-on. "Hey, you," he barked, demanding assistance. Though his tone stung, Sophia maintained her composure, replying in a measured cadence, "Of course, sir," as she deftly stowed the bag. Yet, as she secured the bag, the man muttered under his breath, "Unbelievable, you can't even do a job without being told." A few passengers snickered while others pretended not to notice. Sophia registered the smirks but said nothing, moving on to the next row with serene expression and unwavering hands. But Sophia's mission extended beyond serving drinks or stowing luggage. She carried a far weightier responsibility that no one on board could have anticipated. Continuing her rounds with measured grace, her professionalism remained intact even as palpable tension filled the cabin. It wasn't the entire flight, but a small faction of passengers relished testing her patience, among them, the earlier couple seated at the front, clearly disenchanted with every facet of the journey. "Can we have someone else assist us?" snapped the woman as she waved Sophia over, as if the calm professional were invisible until summoned. Her diamond bracelet glimmered under the cabin lights as she added, "I don't want my drink spilled all over me." Sophia's gentle smile did not waver. "I'll ensure that doesn't happen, ma'am," she replied, placing the drink with precise care. Yet the woman persisted, adding with mock concern, "You know, perhaps you should stick to tasks you find easy. This might be a bit advanced for you." A soft snicker rippled from behind, and the man in the rumpled polo interjected, "Guess this isn't her dream job anyway." His remark hung in the air, its weight far surpassing the ensuing laughter. Excusing herself, Sophia stepped toward the galley to catch her breath. Yet even there, escape eluded her when a young man, with earbuds dangling carelessly, approached, holding an empty water bottle and curtly demanding a refill, not sparing even a glance. "Of course," she replied, accepting the bottle with practiced ease, filling it, and handing it back, only to hear him mutter, "Figures it'd take this long." These words were nothing new. They were barbs designed to erode her dignity, to test her resolve, to see if she might break. But today was no ordinary day on the job. Sophia was not merely observing the passengers. She was scrutinizing the crew, the policies, and the entire customer experience, recording mental notes in preparation to act. What no one suspected was that Sophia had spent the past 6 months dissecting operations, restructuring departments, and consulting with stakeholders. Today's flight was not a test of her duties as a flight attendant but of the airline itself. Yet to the passengers, Sophia remained an easy mark, and they were poised to push her further than ever before. As the plane ascended, so too did the hostility. With trays of drinks in hand, Sophia navigated the narrow aisles with graceful determination, each step seemingly inviting yet another bout of disrespect. The front row couple signaled her once more. "Excuse me," snapped the woman, brandishing an empty cup. "This isn't sparkling water. I specifically requested sparkling." Examining the cup, Sophia replied calmly, "I apologize for the mix-up, ma'am. Allow me to fetch the correct drink immediately." Yet her serene response only fanned the flames, as the woman demanded, "How hard is it to pour the right drink?" her voice resounding for all to hear. "Honestly, what are they even training you for?" came a derisive comment from behind, as a teenager in a hoodie stifled a laugh. His father, seated nearby, grinned and added, "Maybe if she spent less time smiling and more time paying attention, things wouldn't get messed up." A flush of heat rose in Sophia's chest, but she kept her voice even. "I'll be right back with your sparkling water," she said, turning toward the galley. Before she could reach it, another voice halted her, the man in the wrinkled polo leaning into the aisle with an exaggerated sigh. "Hey, while you're at it, Can you do something about the air conditioning? It's like a sauna back here. I'll check on that for you, she replied, though she knew the cockpit controlled the temperature. As she walked away, she caught him muttering, but she doesn't even know how to fix it, just here for show. The mocking laughter that followed cut sharper than before, as if aimed at more than just her skills. Sophia tightened her grip on the tray, her knuckles whitening, yet she did not falter. Returning with the sparkling waters, she handed one to the front row woman, only for the woman to take a single sip and grimace theatrically. Now it's too warm, she declared, setting the cup down with an audible clink. You can just forget it. Sophia's courteous smile remained intact, though she noted the gleeful smirk exchanged between the woman and her husband. The tipping point arrived when a baby began to cry at the rear of the plane. A young mother, flustered and visibly drained, bounced the infant on her lap in a desperate bid to soothe him. That's just great, groaned the man in the polo, throwing up his hands as though the flight weren't troublesome enough. Maybe she could do something about it, the front row woman interjected, nodding toward Sophia. Isn't that part of the job, or is that asking too much? Moving toward the young mother, Sophia crouched by her seat to offer comforting words. But before she could speak, the mother shook her head softly. It's fine, she whispered, her voice trembling. I know I'm bothering everyone, you're not bothering anyone. Gently, Sophia reassured her, her tone soft yet resolute. You're doing the best you can. Though intended for the mother alone, her words resonated through the cabin, drawing several guilty glances. Still, the instigators remained unperturbed, unaware that the cabin's atmosphere was shifting. They believed themselves in control, not knowing that Sophia had been silently scrutinizing every move and every word, and that the tides were about to turn. At the flight's midpoint, tension climaxed, passenger antics escalated from mere irritation to outright humiliation, a spilled drink here, a snide remark there, each moment eroding the thin veneer of civility. Yet Sophia's composure never wavered. Then everything shifted when a suited man, a latecomer who had boarded just before takeoff, called out from his seat, "Excuse me, miss," his voice ringing loud and clear, slicing through the murmurs. Sophia turned to him, her expression inscrutable. Do you possess any authority on this plane, or are you merely here to smile and serve? He continued, reclining with an air of superiority. Because if this is how your airline operates, it's no wonder your reputation's in the gutter. A heavy silence fell over the cabin, tension so thick it seemed almost tangible. For the first time, Sophia paused, letting the weight of his words linger as her eyes swept over the passengers. Some averted their gaze, while others watched intently, waiting for her reply. Straightening her shoulders, she stepped forward, her voice steady and calm. Sir, I appreciate your concern about our airline's operations. In fact, that's precisely why I am here today. Confused looks and murmurs met her declaration. I'm not merely a flight attendant, she continued, tone firm yet measured. I'm Sophia Lewis, the CEO of this airline, and this flight is part of an initiative to observe our service firsthand. Gasps and whispers erupted throughout the cabin. The suited man froze, his smug expression dissolving into disbelief. The front row couple exchanged panicked glances, and the man in the polo shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Sophia allowed the silence to stretch, letting her words sink in. I have been watching, listening, and learning, and what I have learned is this: respect costs nothing, yet it is worth everything. The way we treat one another defines who we are, not merely as individuals, but as a community, she declared, her gaze sweeping across the cabin and landing on each instigator. This airline was built on a foundation of dignity and service, and it is my duty to ensure that foundation remains steadfast, not just for our customers, but for our crew as well. For a long, heavy moment, no one spoke. The air grew dense with the weight of her words as passengers absorbed the gravity of what had transpired. Yet, Sophia was not finished. She had one final message to impart, one that would leave an indelible mark on all aboard. The oppressive silence persisted, unyielding as her words echoed in every mind. The formerly rowdy passengers now sat rigidly, their earlier bravado replaced by palpable unease. The suited man, who had so confidently challenged her moments before, cleared his throat awkwardly. I didn't mean any offense, he stammered in a subdued tone. I had no idea who you were. Fixing him with a steady yet calm gaze, Sophia replied, It's not about who I am, sir, it's about who you are. Regardless of whom you address, titles and uniforms do not determine a person's worth. Kindness does. The front row couple shifted uncomfortably, the woman's once acerbic demeanor softened as she managed a weak smile. We didn't mean anything by it, she offered in an apologetic tone. just a minor misunderstanding. Sophia nodded but refused to let them off the hook so easily. Misunderstandings are natural, she stated, but the manner in which we address them reveals much about our character. I hope this flight leaves you with something to ponder. As she spoke, a ripple of guilt coursed through the cabin, even among those not directly involved. The quiet observers now bore expressions of discomfort, having permitted such behavior to persist without protest. Yet one voice pierced the unease. A young mother at the back, still cradling her now sleeping infant, raised her hand hesitantly and whispered, "Thank you," her eyes brimming with gratitude for someone who had stood for people like her and for herself. Her heartfelt words ignited a wave of quiet acknowledgement. A few passengers nodded, and an older gentleman clapped softly, his hesitant yet sincere applause spreading until nearly half the cabin joined in, clapping with a blend of appreciation and mortification. Sophia's expression remained composed, though a warmth shimmered in her eyes. "This isn't about me," she asserted, her voice calm yet resolute. "It's about how we all can improve, whether on a plane, in an office, or anywhere else. We can always do better." The passengers sat in quiet contemplation. The man in the polo rubbed his forehead while avoiding her gaze, and a nearby teenager stared out the window, his earlier smirk vanished. Yet Sophia understood that actions speak louder than words. She had one final gesture planned to render this flight unforgettable. As the plane commenced its descent into Phoenix, Sophia strode into the center of the aisle, her presence seizing every eye. Every passenger now fixed their gaze upon her, a blend of respect and curiosity evident. "I'd like to thank you all for joining us on this flight today," she began, her voice steady and sincere. "What transpired here is not unique to this flight or even to this airline. It reflects how we treat people every day, strangers, colleagues, even family. My hope is that today serves as a reminder to us all." She paused, letting her words linger. It's easy to judge someone by appearances, but true character reveals itself in how you treat others when you think no one is watching. I was observing today not merely as your CEO, but as someone who believes we can all improve. A few heads bowed, and murmurs of agreement rippled through the cabin. Even the front row couple appeared genuinely remorseful, their earlier arrogance supplanted by humility, as the plane touched down and the seatbelt sign was extinguished. Then, one final announcement: to those who displayed kindness today, thank you, and to those who did not, remember, there's always another chance to do better. Life grants us these opportunities every day. As passengers disembarked one by one, some offering quiet apologies while others avoided eye contact, the young mother paused before Sophia, her eyes brimming with tears. "You don't know what this meant to me," she whispered. "Thank you for everything." Sophia returned a warm smile, gently placing her hand on the mother's arm. "You're stronger than you realize, never forget that." By the time the final passenger had departed, the cabin felt transformed. It had been more than a mere flight, it was a lesson in humanity, one that none would soon forget. As Sophia disembarked, a crew member approached her quietly, saying, "That was incredible, I've never witnessed anything like it." With a small nod, she replied, "It's not about being seen, it's about making a difference." The lesson was unmistakable: respect and kindness should never hinge on titles, roles, or appearances. They ought to be the default every time and everywhere. Perhaps that reminder held the power to transform someone's day, or even their life. If this account stirs you, let it serve as a testament to the power of empathy and respect, a quiet call to embody kindness always, forging bonds that uplift every life.